bill we're following is one that could prevent your ability to access sensitive information from law enforcement agencies. Senate Bill 15 proposes creating a dedicated file not available for the public to view with files that could contain misconduct by individuals. KXAN's Kevin Bosker dives into the bill and why some are concerned with its implications.
If you want to check on a law enforcement officer's history, like alleged misconduct, you might be unable to get all the information you need if Senate Bill 15 becomes law. This bill would create a department file to hold such information. The file will only be available to hiring law enforcement agencies, the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement during investigations, and during certain criminal procedures.
The public, the community, needs to be able to watch over its law enforcement departments.
Kelly Shannon is the executive director of the Freedom for Information Foundation. She's worried the implications this bill would have for public transparency.
It could pertain to records like in the Uvalde mass shooting, could pertain to records when somebody tragically dies in law enforcement custody and maybe their loved ones and the public want to know more about what happened, but certain records associated with it may well be put off into a secret file.
One of the top police unions in the state, CLEAT, is in support of this bill. In a memo sent to KXAN from CLEAT, it said this bill would ensure that no officer is treated differently based on which agency they work for when it comes to confidentiality. CLEAT added that the bill is supported by numerous other law enforcement groups, laborers, and management organizations as well as cities. Shannon, in response to that memo, says her organization isn't anti-officer, but pro-transparency.
We want all officers to be treated well and with respect. And we also want the public to be treated well and with respect and to be able to watch over what law enforcement is doing.
Kevin Bosker, KXAN News.
Senate Bill 15 heads to the House floor next. The Calendars Committee, which decides when bills are discussed, is meeting Sunday and Monday to determine when that will happen.
Texas lawmakers are debating how to replace the STAAR test, which is the end-of-year exam some Texas students take to assess their knowledge. Both Republicans and Democrats agree the current test creates too much stress for students, but how to replace the test is still in question. Capitol correspondent Dylan McKim breaks down the debate.
The STAAR test does not benefit students, teachers, and schools the way you think it does.
This is Elia Moran, a 7th grade student in Fort Worth ISD. She told a committee of lawmakers on Thursday just how stressful the STAAR test can be.
The STAAR test creates that major weight on my brain where I can't think while the teacher is giving me information. I don't sleep well and I don't eat well. Now you tell me if that seems healthy for a child's brain and body.
Texas lawmakers want to solve the issue, and here's the current plan. 3 tests spaced throughout the year in the beginning, middle, and end. The first 2 tests are adaptive, meaning the questions change depending if the question before is answered correctly or not, and the results would be available for teachers and parents 48 hours later. The end-of-year assessment would be the same for each student, but party line disagreements seem to arise out of who will make the test. The current proposal gives that job to the Texas Education Agency.
I just have no faith that our state will do a good job of it, as it has not done a good job with the creation of the STAAR test.
Democratic State Representative Gina Hinojosa would rather see students take a nationally norm-referenced test, which would compare student outcomes to other states. She believes students would benefit if the state did not make the test. But the bill's author, Chairman Brad Buckley, believes students should be assessed on state-approved standards.
It is important to make sure our children are achieving success on those standards.
That is known as a criterion reference test. And Mary Lynn Prunetta, the Director of Education Policy at Texas 2036, a public policy research group, argues criterion tests are actually more useful to parents.
It tells them exactly if their kid is on grade level and then anything that they're specifically struggling with.
Prunetta supports the bill because she thinks it will decrease testing anxiety by clearing up the misconception that a student needs to pass the test to move to the next grade level.
One of the things that we have to do, and that House Bill 8 does a really good job of, is correcting a lot of that misinformation.
Dylan McKim, State of Texas.
It will take time to implement a new testing system. The plan calls for the change to take effect in the 2027-28 school year. Thank you again for joining us for State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle. We'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.
Some changes being made to how kids in AISD sign up for field trips, as the Board of Trustees approved a change to parental permissions for field trips involving water activities. The change, which requires an additional parental consent form over the student's swimming ability, applies to all grade levels. For students who can't swim, the school is required to provide them a flotation device. The change comes months after AISD student died following an 8th grade celebration that was held at Dick Nichols District Park and Neighborhood Pool in May. We've got more details on the changes over at KXAN.com. And if you run, walk, or ride your bike along Lady Bird Lake near Longhorn Dam, you've probably seen all the construction going on over the past year. It's for the wishbone-shaped bridge you see there. The city, it's been building it to give people another way to cross the lake. The bridge will provide an alternate option to the sidewalk on Pleasant Valley Road, and according to the city, they are 10 months ahead of schedule and should be finished at the end of this year. The bridge will offer 3 24-foot wide paths that connect to a central plaza in the middle. The city says it's a safer option, better than running next to the cars over the dam.
What this project is doing is it's providing that safe connectivity, both through connecting north and south and then around the trail. And so I think it's a really fantastic improvement for this part of town.
Who knows, you might even see Tommy House running out there. This project began construction in early July 2024. The initial projected cost was about $12 million in 2020. That was for a standard bridge, but by adding amenities like shade structures, benches, lighting, and the plaza, that pushed the project cost to $21 million. Well, if you like shopping and deals, you've got one more day to get down to Le Garage Sale at Palmer Event Center. The event brings in shoppers and vendors from Austin and beyond. And if you're in need of some new clothes, jewelry, or maybe even a new cowboy hat, you can find some pretty good discounts at this semi-annual event, which has been going on since 2001. I caught up with Blushing Bell Boutique, which is located in Georgetown. The owner told me one of the best parts is meeting all the new people.
This is one of our favorite events. Lake Garage Sale is so much fun every single year. There's tons of great brands. This is a really great way for us to connect with customers all over the Austin area. Our store's in Georgetown, so it's perfect for networking, but also it's really fun to see all the fun boutiques and everything that they have too.
And if you missed the event today, you still have some time. You can head out there tomorrow. You do need to get tickets to enter, though. And festivals around town, including Austin's 35th annual Pride Parade. Attendees got to march and see live music for free, with a few couples even renewing their wedding vows. Chris Garner, the festival director at Austin Pride, spoke to us today about today's event.
Our goal is always to make everybody feel like they belong. Our goal is always to ensure that everybody's included, that there's a space that they can be themselves and their authentic selves.
This year's Pride was smaller, however, as Garner says that a number of sponsors and vendors dropped out.